Hey, what's up? I hope you're having a fantastic day. Welcome back to another video. If you're new around here, I'm Ben Rollins and this channel's all about live looping. Upload 3 videos just like this one every single week. So if that's something you're interested in, consider subscribing. Now, in today's video, we're going to be looking at the Boss RC-10R and I'm going to share with you my thoughts. Now let's first start with what the product can't do. I'm sure you've seen a few reviews already that tell you what it can do, but not what it can't do. So let's start with that first. Now I bought this looper pedal in hope that it could replace my Boss RC-300. Now you may be thinking, Ben, that's a totally unrealistic expectation, but hear me out. Basically, I do acoustic wedding gigs and the RC-300 is a little bit overkill for those styles of shows. It's quite heavy, it's big, it's cumbersome when you're carrying it in. So when Boss announced this brand new looper pedal, it was small, compact, super lightweight, had 32-bit WAV output. I thought, it's a no-brainer. I've got to order one of these. And on top of all of that, it's got this cool addition of a rhythm track that I might be able to have a little bit of fun with. So the pedal arrived, I unboxed it. First impressions was quite impressed, but then it kind of dried up there. Now I'd like to start with my main gripe with the product, and that's the manual. You think this looks like a decent sized manual for a decent sized pedal, but it doesn't tell you anything the product can do. There's literally a section in the manual that tells you how to attach the rubber feet, like the little sticky pad rubber feet. Like, why do we need a full page to tell me how to stick on rubber feet? It doesn't tell me any of the MIDI options in here because they bang on in the video about how they've got these new mini MIDI jacks, full MIDI compatibility, but then in the manual they don't tell me how I can unlock this MIDI compatibility. Now if we compare the manual to the RC-505, this is the RC-505, brilliant product, brilliant manual. Yes, it's a 5-track loop pedal, so there's going to be a few more pages, but you know, look at that. This tells you all about the MIDI options in the RC-505, and this one has the exact same types of MIDI options, and I'll do some tutorials in the future to show you that it can do that. So in order for this to be a fair review, we have to first appreciate who the target audience for this pedal is, which is quite clearly going to be someone brand new to looping. This is probably going to be someone's first ever Boss loop station, which is why it's essential for them to provide a great manual, because there's a ton of settings and they're not going to know the difference between a memory setting, a system setting, an external foot switch, an external control pedal, a MIDI pedal, all these variety of options that this pedal provides. Boss just decided not to tell them. So when it comes to the Onboard Drummer, you get 280 presets. That includes 2 drum patterns and 2 drum fills. Now the drums don't sound awful. They're a huge improvement over previous RC looper pedals, that's for sure. But one of my major problems with it is the count-ins and the drum fills. So for example, we're gonna load in a heavy rock sort of preset, and you'd expect the count-in to be something like this. 100%, right? But instead, it sounds like this. Like seriously, what am I meant to do with that? Like how on earth are you meant to figure out what the tempo of the track is from that crazy noise of just toms and total chaos? It's like that on all of the things, and all of the drum fills are like this despite what style of drummer you have in. They're just way too over the top. So this pedal clearly isn't targeted at a guy like me. I have a fully custom-made rig with drum pads on, and I do everything 100% live. That's quite apparent by the fact the RC-10R has the onboard drummer. But what sparked my interest was the section-based looping on the device. I was really interested in the fact you could do verse, chorus looping and switch between the two quite seamlessly. But it's not as seamless as the Boss demo makes out. You can't even just play the drum track on its own without looping. Like you can, but you have to switch stuff off, hold this in for 2 seconds, change this setting, and it takes like forever to actually get to the point where it just plays on its own, which is really frustrating because obviously if you're using it as a songwriting tool, which I kind of hope to do, I wanted to just set the drummer off, riff about, and then go, oh, I've got something now. it's time to loop it. Let's loop it and start building on it. No, you can only ever trigger the drummer to do a drum fill in and then instantly start recording. You can't just trigger the drummer to just drum. He has to drum and loop at the same time. Now, I don't want any of the keyboard warriors to start hitting the comment section and saying I'm being too harsh on the pedal and I just hate Boss. There's loads of stuff I love about the pedal. I'm a huge fan of these brand new foot switches. I think they are really efficient for space. They make the pedal so much more compact than with them bigger, more elongated and longer foot switches on previous Boss pedals. And they're silent. Like, listen, I'll put that right by the mic. They're very silent on press. There's nothing worse than the RC-300s and the other ones that have that sort of like clunk when you hit it. So if you're not being that loud, you may be playing a really intimate gig and you have that awkwardness of like when you're hitting the pedals. Not with this looper. I also love the light on the RC-10R. Super vivid colors. It's really vibrant. Honestly, you have this thing on the floor. It has all the traditional green for play, red for record, orange for overdub, and a brand new color, which is blue for undo/redo and clearing the pedal so you understand what is happening. Now, you can see everything on the pedal really clear, apart from what track and what rhythm track is selected. That text is this little crisp white text, and it's very, very small. So when the pedal is on the floor, it is quite difficult to read whether you're on track 1 or track 2 when you're switching between patches. Now, you can change the onboard sample sound, so you can go from studio to rock to live to R&B to 808s and 909 sort of techno beats, and you can change the style of onboard sounds, which is quite cool. But the problem with the onboard sounds is they're super quantized, which you'd expect because they're not going to give you a super loose drummer on a loop pedal because it's going to kind of throw you off. So that's to be expected. But the velocity is like, it's like the drummer is like whacking on 100% all energy. There's not much velocity to the feel, and you can't adjust the velocity. Now, yes, you can adjust the volume, but not the velocity. There's a huge difference between the two. So for example, I'm having a chilled loop section. It's a bit of a breakdown. I want the drums to be played lightly. I can't adjust how the drummer's playing the drums. He's still going to be whacking all them drums, and the only option I have is to turn the drummer down. But these drums are still, they're still going crazy. They're just quieter. So you can't adjust the velocity. It would be great if you could sort of be like, right, I want this drum pattern number 2, and I kind of want it to be played at 60% in this little menu here. That would be ideal. So to conclude, I think the Boss RC-10R isn't a terrible looper pedal. I think it's perfect if you're looking for something to spice up your practice routine. You know, you lay down some guitar chords, practice your scales and arpeggios and your guitar soloing over the top. But I do think you need to be careful that you don't end up spending more time learning how to use the loop pedal than actually learning and practicing on the guitar. I'd say out of all of the hours I spent with this loop pedal over the few weeks I've owned it, I've probably only enjoyed around maybe 10 minutes of actually using the device. I found it so time consuming trying to figure out what all the different settings did on the pedal myself because the manual didn't tell me. And also, where I had the most fun with it was with a fellow guitar friend. He just bought one of those Fender acoustic Sonics. They're like acoustic and electric guitars. And we were laying down some chords to the groovy beats and trying out the guitar pickup and everything. So that was great fun. But all in all, I think you might be better going for a more traditional loop station. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider leaving me a like and a subscribe. This channel's all about live looping. Upload live looping tutorials, live looping performances every Tuesday, Thursday, and now Saturdays. I've been Ben Rowlands. You can find me online at benrowlandsmusic.com. If you want to learn more about live looping, check out this video here, and I'll see you in the next one.